Welcome to A Lunch with Biggie, a podcast about small business and creatives sharing their stories and inspiring you. My guest today decided long ago that normal was the least interesting option. She's a travel addict, a hotel junkie, digital marketer, a travel writer, a trip planner, and she's helping people explore the world with purpose. Please welcome my friend, Jenny DeWitt. What's going on, Jenny?
Hey, I'm sort of waiting for the applause. Are you gonna push the applause button? Yeah.
Yes. There is always an applause button in my mind when I invite my guests.
Hello, it's so good to see you and be with you.
It's so good to see you. Usually we either Marco or we'll message each other and stuff like that, usually on your travels. So yeah. I'm glad we got to spend a little bit of quality time together. So I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
My first question obviously always is, what's your go-to lunch or sandwich, even though I know what it is?
Oh, you do know what it is. I love a toasted peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And there should be, although I'm trying to watch my cholesterol these days, but there should be a light layer of butter on there as well. And the jelly should be nothing with seeds. So grape jelly would be my number one, which is, harken back to childhood days. But then strawberry jelly is great. I want to say jam because strawberry jam is better than strawberry jelly. But I have turned it up a bit. Last year, I started doing peanut butter and jelly with black cherry preserves. So
okay, a little adulting, an adulted PB&J.
Adulting PB&J. That's my favorite sandwich ever in the world ever. Although I did have a really good muffaletta sandwich in New Orleans back in the 80s. That kind of blew my mind. But yeah.
In the I love how you went that far back. Like that's how life altering it was, that you're like in the 80s. I remember the sandwich in the 80s, and I've never been able to have it again.
Honestly, I think it was like 1987. I was on vacation with my family, and it was like the first. It was giant. It was the most impressive sandwich I've ever seen. But it was the olive tapenade, the layer of the chopped olives in there, and that was it. I'd never had olives on a sandwich before, but it really impacted me.
I'm curious, and obviously I could talk sandwiches forever, but I had I do have a question on the PB&J aspect of it.
Yeah.
Have you, on all your travels, and we'll talk about travel and everything like that, has there been a place that's giving you something or a version of that, or is that more of like the nostalgia, the home nostalgia of the toasted PB&J idea?
There's really not anywhere else in the world that does peanut butter like we do. The UK has tried, and Japan has a really weird version of it, but Jif is really not a thing that's easy to find and get. Like, that's not really exorbitant in terms of prices. So I found comparable comfort foods that are local to the places that I've traveled, but I've never found a PB&J like I can get in the USA. Look at that. I made a rhyme. Yeah.
I like it. Okay. So let's talk about your love of travel. So I know I kind of want, we'll kind of, obviously this is a lunch break, so I kind of want you to be able to kind of give us somewhat of a story on that whole idea of where the love of travel came from. But I know that you, in your previous, before we've met and everything, I know you taught in Japan and Poland. I've known you, going from traveling abroad to then coming back and becoming a townie tourist, where you were like a tourist in our own city of Orlando. However, I want to know a little bit about like where this love of travel came from. And then what led you to be like, hey, this is like, did you travel a lot as a child? I'm kind of curious on like what kind of triggered this, because this is something that I've always kind of assimilated you with, along with all the other things that you do, but I always kind of correlate you and travel. So I'm just kind of curious, like, where did that come from?
Yeah, I was born in Orlando, grew up in Altamont Springs, and I had a unique experience in my upbringing in that the first 5-6 years that I was a child, I lived in a house on Hadaway Drive with my parents and my grandparents. And so my grandparents had retired, and they used their pension and their savings to travel around the world multiple times. So as I was growing up in the first, formative first 6 years, I would see my grandparents leave and go on trips and come back and talk about what they saw and what they did. They brought presents back. I think the first stuffed animal I had that I really loved was this koala bear from Australia, and it was made with kangaroo fur all over it. It was like this souvenir that they had brought for me. And so my childhood was just peppered with these stories and these gifts that from other lands that seemed so far away and so, magical. And so I think that I really loved my grandmother and my grandfather, and having them sort of instill in me this spirit of adventure and going and seeing other lands. And that's where my wanderlust comes from. No one else in my family, by the way, ever travels. I mean, my aunt does occasionally, but to be honest, most of my family, they're homebodies. And so I guess it just sparked something in me. And I believe my first plane trip was from Orlando to Pennsylvania. I was 2 years old. There's a photo of me. There are photos of me on cruise ships saying goodbye to my grandparents. So I think and my dad was a pilot. So I've been around movement and travel and transportation since I was born. In fact, there's a picture of my dad's flight log book. And the day that I was born, it's written between his trips to, Bimini and Jacksonville. And here I am in the middle of this flight log book. So I think that's really where it came from. The other thing is they brought back, there's this amazing story that my parents told me that they had to pile into a rented van, a big box truck kind of thing. And they drove it to Miami to meet the ship. So my grandparents traveled around the world, not by cruise ship, but by freighter. And you can rent, at the time in the 70s, you could rent a room. They had berths and they had rooms for passengers on freighters. And so you could travel around the world, and as you went shopping, you could just put your stuff in the freighter and bring it back with you. So my grandparents furnished their entire home with stuff that they'd collected on their travels around the world. And they did this, I think, a couple of times. But my parents drove down in this box truck to get all of the stuff they pulled off of the cruise ship. And of course, they're trying to inspect it. And the inspector opens the first box, and there's this giant ostrich egg. He looks at my grandmother, he looks at my grandfather, he puts it back in the box, and he just says, just go. Because there's like 50 boxes and furniture and all this stuff. Who knows? I mean, if they were able or allowed to bring back what they did, but it's the early 70s. So whatever. I grew up with that. I grew up surrounded by these things and stories, and here's a chair from Spain, and here's a painting from France, and here's this. So it just in the back of my head is always this, I want to go, I want to see, I want to do, I want to go, I want to see, I want to do. Yeah. My first real trip though, on my own, kind of was a mission trip in the 80s. I think it was 1985 or 6. I was 14 or 15. And I went to Mexico with my youth group, and we went to paint church and clean buildings and kind of do like community service project. And this first trip was amazing. Chile was playing, and there was like a huge soccer match going on, and all these things happening around. I saw Mexico City in the 80s. We went to Acapulco and swam in the ocean. Yes, ocean. And as I'm swimming, here's this thing. Here's this story, right? This is where my story really starts for travel. We're swimming. I look over. And in Mexico at that time, people would put trash and things on top of hills and just kind of shove it, and then it would rain down into the water. And there was a whole dead pig, bloated, floating next to me like a float, like a raft. And it's just floating by. It's just swanning by, like this is the most natural thing in the world, to have a giant bloated dead pig float next to you, and you're in Mexico, and what is happening right now? And it just was this, okay, this is travel. Like this is travel. You just roll with it. I mean, I swam with a dead bloated pig. I didn't mean to, it just happened. So I think that kind of thing it really was like, wow, that was crazy. This is a story. This is something I can bring back, and nobody else has. That hasn't happened to anybody. Well, the youth group people, but I loved it. I loved being so lost. I loved feeling kind of like everything is a new discovery. I didn't speak the language, and so trying new food and trying to say hello and saying thank you and all of these things was just it's fascinating. I love it. I love connecting with other people, and so I think that's really where it started. And then I traveled a lot all over the United States. One of my early trips when I graduated from college was to travel by Amtrak all around the United States. I did that with my boyfriend at the time. It was so fun just seeing the country. And, you know, I've lived in like 50, 60 different places in my life. So it's just has been an adventure. I just love travel and movement and change so much. Yeah. So that's where it came from.
Just out of curiosity, how many countries have you been to?
Well, I haven't counted, probably not that many. I don't know, 35? Not that many. There's like 170 or something. I don't even know that number. But some of my friends who I've met out here traveling, they're doing a count of places. My friend Aruna is counting down. She wants to get all of them. And so there's that element also, but that's not my jam. It's not really my thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure. I will have to count up and let you know.
Yeah. Okay, so I've always kind of wondered this because obviously, you do so many different things. Like I mentioned, you do digital marketing. I know you ghostwrite. I know you do travel. You plan travel for others. I've always kind of wondered this, like how, because right now, like I said, like and mentioned earlier, like every time I talk, you're always like, oh, I'm in this country or I'm here. How do you do it? Like how do you go from one country to like, oh, now I'm going to London and then in a few weeks I'm going here? How do you do that? Like is it that you know these people and like people and you're staying at their house? How does that work? How do you make it work? I've always kind of I've always wondered this.
Well, so I did something in 2020 when all right, backing up a bit. I moved from Orlando to Sarasota to help my dad nurse my mom through the final stages of Alzheimer's. So I was in Sarasota in 2020 for the pandemic. Townie Tourist had kind of got on pause. And having to walk my mom through that process with my dad and seeing that, I decided for myself that, I'm child-free by choice. I really want a different kind of future. Like if I'm going to lose my mind, I want it to be on a Greek beach. I do not want it to be in this situation. So I decided at that point that I was going to sell everything and get out of debt, reduce everything to nothing and just go. And it's the pandemic. So where am I going to go? The only option I had was through a connection on Instagram, Kristen Rogers, who had she started traveling earlier in 2020, and she had ended up in Tbilisi, Georgia. So what I did in the rest of 2020 until February 2021 was get out of debt and sell everything I had, minimize. I got down to 1 carry-on and 10 items of clothing. And everything else I really loved, I put in a part of my dad's storage unit. So I have 3 boxes right now of things. But it was really important to me to be free of debt. So anything that was coming in, any income I was making at the time from webpage design or digital marketing or writing would be like cake, right? So I started traveling in March of 2021. I left and flew to Tbilisi, Georgia. I went from Atlanta. And at that point, I was debt-free. I had no rent. I had no bills. I had nothing, like no utilities. I did do a couple of things before I left, so to kind of prepare myself to live as a digital nomad at the time. I got travel insurance. Safety Wing is amazing. And when you leave the United States, you can have incredible coverage for like $100 a month. So I got Safety Wing. So that sort of made me feel really secure that I could go anywhere, do anything. It's still COVID days, so, there's coverage for that. The other thing is I kept my US phone number. And this is something that a lot of people don't do, but I kept it. I changed it to Mint Mobile. And if you get like the 5 gig plan, it's $180 for a year. So I just kept my number so that I would always be connected, especially on Wi-Fi. I can just call anyone with my US number. But I took off and I decided that I was going to try to live on less than $2,000 a month. So I'm bringing in, double that. I don't have debt. It's great. I have savings. I can pay taxes. I can do other things. And it worked really well. So that first year was awesome. I was able to live in Tbilisi. So in Georgia, the Republic of Georgia has a visa that is 360 days. So you can live there without having to leave and come back. So that's really how I picked my first destination. And it worked great. And then I got bored. So the thing about me is it did take me about 3 months. And then I was like, okay, I'm ready to move on. So I traveled a lot. I traveled all over Georgia and left and went to Greece and came back to Georgia. And I realized when I went to Greece that I really wanted to keep exploring instead of settling in this place. So I tried to find options that would allow me to do that. And one of the things that I found was trusted house sitters. So essentially what you do is you pay to be on this platform. It's by a lovely company. They started in Brighton, England, and it's a house sitting company and primarily out of the UK. It really is popular there. So what happened was I signed up with that, created a profile, and started house sitting in December of 2021. And I started in the UK. I hadn't really spent much time in London. I did some cat sitting in London, and then I just kept doing it. And the beauty of it is that you live in someone's house, you take care of their house, their plants, their pets, and you sort of are suddenly in the neighborhood. You have a local grocery store, you have a dentist, like you're in an actual living arrangement. You're not in an Airbnb, you're not in a hotel. And it really afforded me the chance to see, okay, do I want to grow old here? Do I want to live here? How many elderly people are here? What is their quality of life? And so my journey is a little bit different in focus than it is for a regular digital nomad who's looking for great internet and like connecting with other expats. That's not my goal. It's really, where am I going to die? Honestly.
Now, let me interrupt you for a second. So when you do like the house sitting and all that stuff, is it like, so I know you pay to be part of the platform, but do you still get paid, or you get paid, or you just get free housing from it?
Free housing. So essentially what happens is Trusted House Sitters is free on both ends. So I don't pay to stay in their house. I pay the platform. The house owner pays the platform. They don't pay me. And I don't get paid to house sit at all. I may get like free groceries and some pocket money to take care of things if something goes wrong, but there's no money exchange. It's really just goodwill. So you have a lot of,
and then go on. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, you have a back and forth with them. So there's like video chats and you get to know them and you really can kind of suss out each other's vibe. It's sort of like online dating a bit because you can throw out like 20 applications to house sit. I want to go to Copenhagen. And so I like throw out 10 of them and then you get like immediately rejected because some of these applications are for places that are in beautiful locations, easy. And so they have like 10 applications. So it's sort of like, dating a bit. You got to find your people.
How long are they usually, like these stints when you do it? Like, does it vary, or is it like usually like about a month, 3 months? What's it, or a few weeks? What's the stint usually?
Well, so the minimum for me is 2 weeks is the lowest I'll go. Some people do it for a night or 2 nights. You could do it with your family. You can do it as a couple. You can do it with your pet. I know Dana Rockmore does Trusted House Sitters here in the US with her dog. And so she goes and house sits for other dogs. But I pick 2 weeks because for me, I really want to get a sense of the community and maybe make a new friend and find a new coffee shop. And is this for me? I can't do that in one day. or 3 days. I can do that in a couple weeks and really feel it out. The longest house sit I did was 2.5 months. And that was long. That was long because when you get to a place and you figure out it's not for you in 2 weeks, then you're stuck there for the rest of the time and you're taking care of these pets. So you can't leave. Yeah. So yeah, the sweet spot for me is 3 to 4 weeks because I can kind of find out if I really love it and move around a bit. Also, I'm taking a break from dogs. I'm just doing cats right now because they're so much easier.
What? Okay, so based on how long, so you've been doing this now for a while.
Yeah.
Is there a particular like location or country that you constantly keep going back to or have a favorite that you're like,
Yes.
yeah, this is like my top three locations that I would love to go and constantly keep going to?
Yeah, Sussex, England. So if you look at England and you look down at the coast, right near the English Channel, this sort of band across the bottom of England is Sussex, and it's near a thing called the South Downs, which are these rolling green hills with little white sheep on them. It's beautiful, and the cliffs there are majestic, and it's just really lovely. I love returning to that area, and I've gone back now, I think 3 or 4 times, and I've stayed there in different cities. I really love a city called Chichester. They call it Chai for short. And it's a lovely little town. It's got tons of like history. It used to be a Roman city years and years ago. And it's just so nice. People are so nice there. It's just so nice. But, I don't know that I would live in the UK since they've split from the EU. There are, the resources have changed, and the attitude has changed, the way that things are moving forward has changed. So I don't know that I'd live there, but I'd definitely go back and visit. I also loved Morocco. So I fell in love with Morocco in 2023, and I've gone back every year to either house sit or stay for a month. I love it. Yeah, Rabat is an exceptional city.
Do you have a least favorite where you're like, yeah, not my cup of tea?
So many. There's so many.
But if
I
there's
don't
one that you'd be like,
yeah,
but just like, is there one that you just didn't have a good experience? It's not that the country's bad or anything. You just didn't have a good experience.
It's about the people, right? And so for me, it's about community and really getting to know people and talk to them. So Switzerland was hard for me. And so I just could not connect with people. And I mean, the second I crossed the lake and went to Evian, France, it was like, oh, I got it. The people are nice and I can speak French, and they're responding to me. In Switzerland, I go back and it's like, I don't exist. I don't understand what's happening. So
that's so odd to me, because isn't that like supposed to be like one of the happiest? Is Switzerland one of the best places to live or happiest places to live, or is it like Netherlands? Do you know which one? There's
Scandinavia. I think it's like Finland or
that might be it. Yeah,
Norway.
I always think of the Swiss like being, I don't know. I always think that the Swiss would be different, but that's interesting. That's an interesting, interesting one.
The Swiss are like, imagine the Germans mixed with the French, and then they decide to do their own thing. That's kind of the Swiss way.
So that it's almost like the phrase, it's like Switzerland, where almost like they're kind of like they just do their own thing. They're right down the middle, Switzerland.
Yeah,
okay,
so Switzerland is hard. I think Turkey was really hard. I think there are a lot of restrictions. Well, so I'm a single white woman, and I'm not Muslim, so I'm sort of stand out. But there are also a lot of barriers for me in certain countries. So Turkey was hard. I really enjoyed it, parts of it, but being there and interacting with people was difficult. I mean, difficult in that I just don't need 7 marriage proposals a day. I don't, that's not necessary for me, for my life. So yeah, that was a challenge. Germany is not, I just don't vibe with Germany. I've tried it multiple times and I just don't know why I can't get it through my head. It's just not my place. So, but some people love it and they just adore it, and the Black Forest and all the things.
I love that. So I want to talk about a few things that you kind of hit on, and then kind of transition in the world of travel. One thing that you mentioned, you are a solo traveler, female. those are all things to me that, like, I don't know. I'm like, I feel like, and we'll go wide, and then I'll go narrow. Wide in the sense that a lot of people are usually hesitant to travel by themselves, or to do travel by themselves. I think a lot of times people in general, maybe some in general, have an issue being by themselves, in order, like, that's why they don't eat by themselves and things like that. But I kind of want you to be able to provide some kind of, I don't know, talk a little bit about the hesitancy, like why people should do consider doing more solo travel. And then at the same time, I also want you to factor in, just because we live in a crappy world sometimes, even though I'm a positive person, and being, obviously, I'm very understanding of, like, the fact that me being male is way different than being a female to travel, and the things that you have to consider and think about when you're going to a destination. So those are two things that I kind of want you to be able to kind of, I've always been intrigued by, because I know
Okay.
you, my friend Chantal is another one that does a lot of solo travel, as a female, and like you're also, to me, I also feel like you're like, I'm going to get in a car and I'm going to rent it and I'm going to drive. So I kind
Yeah.
of wanted to get a little bit of a perspective and some thoughts on the topic of being a solo traveler, but also what you take into effect or consideration when being a female solo traveler.
Okay. So the first thing I want to say is there is an understanding that you maybe, I know that you have a wife and daughter, so you may be aware of this as a man, but I'm gonna sort of clarify this a bit to share with you from my perspective. In the United States, I think probably since I was about 14, 13, 14, there has always been in sort of the back of my mind, like this you have to be hyper aware of your surroundings. You just have to be aware. You have to be conscientious about how you dress, what you look like, where you put your where you're looking, where you are walking from Publix, where did you park the car? Do you have your keys between your fingers? Are you gonna, like, what is it dark? Is it who's behind me? Who's leaving the store behind me? Who's entering the store behind me? Is my hair in a ponytail? Like, all these things go through our heads, my head. I don't want to say our, but my head. And incredibly, it's here in the United States that happens. It happens the second I land at an airport in the United States. It's like that has to turn on. I have to be in protection mode, and physical protection mode. And the chances, having been through violent incidents already, the chances of that happening again, I'm hoping, are pretty slim, but you never know, right? You just never know. So I have this sense, and I think, honestly, it's because I'm a woman, and there's like a target on me. I feel like sometimes when I'm here in the US, that doesn't mean that I am not relaxed and cool and happy and have a good time. It's just that I'm also aware, right? I have to be aware. Maybe not always on guard, but just aware of what's going on around me. I'm in New York City right now, and one of the things that has happened in the past year is that women have been pushed in front of subway trains, and just randomly from nowhere they can be standing and just shoved. And so now I and many other women stand with our back against the wall as we're waiting for the subway train. So it's sort of things like that, right? Now, you're right. The world can be a place where dangerous things happen. And so let's first talk about the safety issue, and then I'll talk about the solo issue. The safety issue is when you leave the United States, there is no other country. I've been to Israel, I've been to Turkey during a horrific earthquake. I have been to Morocco and walked around Moroccan streets. I have been in so many places in the world over the past 5 years, and that fear sense, that thing that gets turned on in the United States, it doesn't get activated anywhere else. It does not get activated. I don't know if it's because I am an American, and I don't know if it's the gun thing. I don't know if it's the rape thing. I don't know if it's cultures are so different. They're more respectful. I don't know what it is, but I feel a certain sense of just relief and ability to just be myself and be in the world as a human and with other humans on a much easier level, much easier way when I leave the United States. So now that kind of plays into the solo conversation where a lot of women I know, so I'm 53, a lot of women my age, maybe a little younger and older, are really reticent to go travel solo because they haven't had that experience. They've had a partner, they've had a family, they've done things together with their friends or their girlfriends. And so traveling solo, if you've never done it in the United States, even taking a weekend away, doing a staycation at like, what is it, like Gaylord Palms, and go float down the lazy river or whatever, and you just treat yourself to a lovely weekend solo. If you have never done that, then it's a really foreign feeling because am I going to be lonely? Am I going to be able to talk to anybody? How will I be safe? What's happening around me? And I think it really comes down to preparation, but it also comes down to, are you living? I do not live in a spirit of fear. So I know that when I step out into the world, sure, bad stuff can happen, but that's not for me. That's not for me. That's not going to happen to me. That is not for me. And if it does happen, then we'll deal with it. But I do not move through the world with a feeling of, oh, my bus is going to get bombed or this is going to happen. Actually, that's a great example. I was going to Israel by myself. I decided to go do a tour and I signed up with a tour group because I don't know anything about Israel. So this was January 2022. No, 2023, maybe before the war, just before the war started. And I flew from Greece by myself, but I signed up with a tour, so I knew that I'd be with other people on the bus. And I had three other women email me and call me or text me and say, are you sure you should go to Israel? It's so dangerous. Well, I don't live in that spirit of fear. I also don't listen to American media. I don't read. I do check the State Department website to see what the level is and what actually is the deal. So like there are places in Jordan that are areas you shouldn't go to, but there are also places in Georgia that you shouldn't go to. There are places all over the world that are experiencing conflict, but that doesn't mean the conflict is happening in well, I mean, now it is, but so at the time I was like, thank you so much for your message. I'm still going to go. I'm going to go. I think if you are as prepared as you can be and you have insurance and you have a place to stay and you have notified people in your life where you're going to be, you share that information with people. I have an air tag on me at all times so my family knows where I am. So like there are things that you can do to really mitigate that worst case scenario, but it's the mental. You have to face the fact that fear it's not happening. If you're afraid of it, that means it's not happening right now.
Yeah.
Because if it's happening right now, then you're going to be dealing with it. So fear is there. It's not like it's helpful. It can be helpful, but a lot of times it can be a barrier to you going and doing what the universe wants you to do. So anyway, solo travel, go do it. Try it. If it's not for you, that's cool, but at least do it once. That's all.
So the other thing that I appreciate and I wanted to get a little bit more information on, because one of the things that you've written about and you kind of advocate, and it kind of makes sense due to the fact that you like being in places for a little bit, I would say an extended period of time versus like someone traveling and just doing a quick, hey, I'm going to be here for a few days and then leave. You're a big advocate for slow travel. And I kind of want you to kind of talk a little bit about that. I know you've written about it. What is slow travel? And then kind of talk a little bit about that, like what, and then from there, I'm going to ask like, some things that you've gotten from being a slow traveler.
Okay. Well, so one of the things that is really important to me is sustainable travel. And have seen firsthand what's happening in the world because of over tourism, because of the use of plastic, because of things just systems in countries just not working well. And Airbnb, I'm sorry to say, didn't really help the situation, so that cities are really changing in massive ways. And tourism, while it can be really great for many cities, it's really hard to handle. And so we're seeing that the result of that now, the post-pandemic boom of tourism on Venice and Barcelona, and their actual like protests against tourists. And I don't think it's about tourists, it's about tourism, and it's the way that it's happening. And there are protests against people buying properties that families could live in that are, anyway. So when I talk about slow travel, I've been talking about slow travel for a long time, but really through the lens of sustainability. And when you stay and live as a local in a place and insert yourself into a community where you visit the same bodega or market every day and you get to know people in the community, you can also see where your money's going. And you can see, even if you do stay in a hotel, choosing one that has a really local heavy management system or management group, or it has people who are paid really well, from the people who clean the room all the way up to the CEO. There are these mega corporations, and I may be like, I don't know, I don't think I'm shooting myself in the foot. I do have some favorites, but there are mega corporations like Accor, which is a great corporation. It is in it, but it has like 15, 20 different hotel brands within it, right? So it's this family. So I think slow travel, even when you are picking a hotel, it's that due diligence of, how is my visit going to impact the community that I'm in? How can I do good while I'm being here? Not even like, I don't mean volunteer or give back, but maybe it's like, hey, do I need to buy plastic when I'm there? Can I take a reusable water bottle? Can I shop at local grocery stores instead of chains? Like, let's not go to Carrefour, let's go to the local market. Or it's things like that slow travel really kind of underlines and makes it just easier to do, because you give yourself more time to discover what those local gems are. And it's just so important right now. I mean, it's just so important. Connections with people are so important. And I think that the way that conversations have gone across Europe, things have really taken a turn for a more conservative way of speaking. But I think that the most important thing is recognizing that we're people, we're humans. And so going into a shop and saying hello, or that's the simplest thing you can do. And slow travel, even if you're going for a weekend to a destination, just go to one city instead of going to like 6 different places or all over the place. What if you just went to one city and really drilled down and got intimate with that one place and found your favorite thing? And it makes everything more meaningful, from the city itself and the people who live there to you and your experience. I just think slow travel is so important. And yeah. So that's my soapbox moment for the day. One of them.
No, I love that. The other, so obviously, I'm assuming the way you're able to kind of do this, and live this nomadic, digital, like nomad lifestyle. I know you do everything. Like I mentioned, you do digital marketing. I know you do some ghost writing. You pretty much are almost like wearing, I'm assuming you're getting a bunch, it's like money coming from different angles, but I also know that you do travel planning, and you do like a travel, like, so people, like a travel advisor for people to be able to kind of help them in their travels. Is that kind of how you kind of are able to sustain and be able to do all these things? And then, which kind of works because you travel writing, you're traveling, so therefore you're seeing these things, and now you're providing something that is very exclusive in the sense of, or very drilled down, because you're doing that slow travel of
Mhm.
being able to provide that kind of like better, I don't know, a better taste of a city when you
Yeah.
go. Is that kind of the idea? Like you're kind of using everything that you're getting and then using that to kind of create output to be able to create income? Is that kind of the idea?
So that's part of the idea. So I decided in 2023, fall of 2023, to become a certified travel agent, which, and the new term is travel advisor. So it's the official industry term now, certified travel advisor. So I decided to do that and became a travel agent in January 2024. And the reason being, the places that I've been, the things that I've discovered, the little gems, like if you're going to Edinburgh, places to go there that don't really contribute to these mega corporations who have bought up all of the chain shops and souvenir shops. You go down a different street and you're giving your money to local people. So little things like that I've learned over the past few years, I thought, you know what, I can incorporate this into a new career path. And what if I were planning trips for people and really got them these really special experiences? So, what my travels have done in that sense, I am a travel advisor. I help people really get the most out of the trip that they want to have. I do charge a travel planning fee, so there's that as a bit of income, and that covers, the work that I do in the deep research. But it also is like this amazing opportunity to connect people with communities in the magical way that I've done it. So it just has been, it turned out to be this really incredible decision. I have loved over the past year and a half planning trips with people for their families to Japan and Greece and Turkey, all these places. I there is that I love, and so that's the current situation. But I also am a travel writer, and I'm working on Orlando's newcomer guide for this year. So I keep my hand in Orlando things. And so I'm well aware of what's happening in the city. It's my hometown. But I do a bit of travel writing. I do a bit of ghostwriting. I do digital marketing. I'm working on a new series of actually safety toolkit guides for solo traveling women. So that was a great question. Thank you very much. And I, I'm really honestly want to get into more public speaking. So I'm excited to speak at Creative Mornings in Orlando soon. I'm really wanting to do more writing and more public speaking. So I'm thinking that's the direction I will head next, but I don't know. I do a lot of different things. And I think just recently in the past 3 years, I've gotten okay with the fact that this is who I am, that I wear many hats. As you know, we've known each other for a long time, and I was a social media manager, and I did web pages, and I did speaking, and I ran tutorials, and I taught class and all these things. And yes, I love it. And that's my thing. I pick things up and put them down again. And that's normal. That's normal. I will put in a little thing. It might sound a little woo woo to a lot of people, right? Like, it's not new agey, but it is a thing that I started kind of paying attention to about 4 years ago, called human design. So, okay, I know, right? Astrology. I know it's not that. The thing about it that I find fascinating is that my entire life of job hopping and moving and traveling around, it finally became very clear to me that this is my design. This is my gift. This is how I was created, and how I can roll through the world and show people that you can do life a different way. And that's okay. And all of my life, I thought, what is wrong with me? Why can't I settle? Why can't I stay in one city? Why can't I stay in one job? Why can't I just be okay with one direction or one path? And I just can't do it. It makes me feel like agita when I think about staying in a job for 20 years, I just can't. And some people do and they love it and that's their thing, but it's, my design is called manifesting generator, which means that I have energy and I go and I create and I hop to the next thing and I create and I hop and I have a vision and I just go for it. And so it's just, I feel very confident now in stepping into anything. And I love that. And in the past, I would have questioned it and like, is this right for me? But now I just trust my gut and I just go for it.
This is bad because you're gonna put me down a different rabbit hole here, but I'll ask one question. Like, how do I find out more about human design? Because I am kind of curious about me, because I do sometimes think I'm wired differently, and I'm just kind of,
yeah,
I would love to kind of know more of that. So we may have to maybe talk off, or maybe we'll talk again and have you do that, because I maybe we'll kind of go there. But I want to kind of close the loop on the travel aspect of it and travel advisor and all those things. I know one of the things that I read or came across, and I'm kind of curious. Well, I'll ask one a general question on, and that is, based on your knowledge and experiences, what's one piece of advice you'd give every traveler, regardless of destination or budget?
Purchase travel insurance.
Okay.
I don't care if you are going on a weekend vacation in your own town. It's like travel insurance is a must because of over tourism, because of the way airlines cancel and flake out, because of the way that protests are happening in Europe, the way that their summer is heating up. There are fires, there are earthquakes, there are floods, there are all kinds of things that can happen, right? And travel insurance has, I will say, saved my clients multiple times and multiple thousands of dollars in just grief for a missed flight on the way to a cruise, an incident, a physical incident where they have to fly back the next day, and then the 6 hotels that they've booked have to get canceled. And the hotels are not going to refund you, but the insurance company will. So it's travel insurance.
Now, is that travel insurance like a separate company, or what? Like, when you go book, it provides it, like, how like sometimes it pops up like, do you want travel insurance, or do you use a separate company? I use
a separate company. So the companies that I use typically are Faye, Faye. It's a very easy one, very well rated, and it's got a great app. They have 24/7 assistance, and it's quick and easy, one and done. And it essentially works on the dates of your trip and your birth date, right? How old you are and what kind of coverage you want. Here's a little tip. If you have bought, the first thing you buy is your flights or your ticket to something, you have 14 days from that point to purchase cancel for any reason insurance. So you have, from the moment you buy your airplane ticket, 14 days. That is your first purchase. So outside that 14-day window, you can still get travel insurance. It just won't be cancel for any reason. So cancel for any reason is any reason. If you just decide you're not going on the trip, or someone gets sick and it's before you leave, it's canceled. It's like you break up, you have a divorce, somebody, your dog dies, all these things. You can just not go on the trip and it's canceled, done, get your money back. Outside that window, you can have travel insurance that covers a myriad of things happening. So you still do get the benefit of travel insurance, even if you're outside that 14-day window. So I tell everyone, if they're planning a trip or have started planning a trip, just please get travel insurance. It covers lost baggage. It covers like falling down steps. It covers and you just never know, right? Things can happen. A dead pig float by you in the ocean, right? Like you just.
So no. What? And I got one more kind of question I figure I'd ask. Yeah. The other one is like, so I'll be honest, like my family like enjoy traveling, and usually when I travel, we'll do cruises and stuff like that, but we've been trying to do more stateside stuff. But like, I'm always the one thing that I kind of notice that sometimes gets me, like, I don't know, like, I guess like I guess I kind of get reluctant is when I start looking at like flights the cost of
Uh,
flights.
yeah.
I think that's always kind of crazy. Is there like, do you like, and obviously, obviously use her services if you want to, if you're trying to figure out, but I'm just kind of curious, like when, for your own travel, when you've kind of done these things, like what are you usually doing? Are you looking at, is there like a mixture of like, where destination do I want to go to next? Is it sometimes like, hey, let me look at Google Flights and see what's
Mhm.
available, what's like the cheapest, or do you have certain things that you go to and you use, like, that you care to share? I'm just kind of curious because
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I don't know, I just think it's something that I think that a lot of times that some people can be like trigger shy because of it.
Sure. And I think, travel in the United States is expensive. It really is. And flights, especially, it just blows my mind that the cost of flights here in the US. I'm not sure why they're that expensive because they don't have to be, but they are. So the tool that I use most often is Google Flights, and that's really strictly for research. So I'm searching for my clients, typically for business class and above, but many times they'll say, well, do we have options? This most recent one was, we want the kids to like be in economy. We want to be in business class, but the kids can ride in economy. So So the research that I do is typically on Google Flights. And here's a little fun thing: buy one-way tickets. If you are more than one person and you're buying one-way tickets, it's great. You can actually save money and find better deals if you're buying a one-way ticket. Now, that said, there are some caveats. If you're a single traveler and you're buying a single one-way ticket, there are some things that we've discovered from airlines recently where there's like a penalty or the
Yes.
extra fee, right? So just pay attention to that and do your due diligence when you do your research. The other thing is look for hubs. So if you're flying from Atlanta, obviously you're going to find better prices on Delta because Delta's hub is Atlanta. So think about that when you're looking for tickets to places that you're going. And are you flying to a hub because the plane will return to Atlanta? Maybe you pick a Delta flight, you might get a better rate. You might find a better deal. The other thing is when you see on Google that the rate is what it is, go to the airline page and you can check out the rates through the airline page as well. Always use a VPN or go on incognito mode so that it doesn't necessarily know where you are or where you're searching from. Incognito mode is great. There are sites like Momondo or like Flight. What is it? Oh, there's one that Flight Scanner. Is that one? I can't remember.
Or Flight Hopper or something like that,
Yeah,
maybe.
Hopper. One of the, it will show you like legs that are available, so that's kind of interesting. But yeah, I do most of my research through Google Flights. It's just a great tool. We do have a dashboard available to us as agents, but I typically just do that. A lot of times my clients are booking with points. So this is a whole another ball game. Like if you have credit card points or you know how to play the game, there is this great resource called the Points Guy. I'm actually going to go see him. He's speaking here in New York in a couple weeks, so I'm going to go see him. The Points Guy is great. He's on Instagram and has an incredible newsletter of all the things you can do with credit card points and how to use them. So
That's awesome.
I would do that as well. But yeah, flights are tricky. Flights are tricky. If you're in the EU and you're looking for flights, they're like $25. So it's different. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always the thing that I always find interesting is like once you're out of the US and you're somewhere
Yeah.
else, then it's like travel to like, oh, we're going from this country
Yeah.
to this country. Oh yeah, no big deal. We'll just do it. We'll just hop on something and go for the
Yeah.
weekend. No biggie.
Yeah.
It just kind of makes it so funny how that works. If I can you correct me if I'm wrong, but like, are you planning? I think I saw something in my research, like actually planning like a focus tour to Morocco for women in 2026. Is that correct?
We saw that, huh? I
Is that
really,
wrong? Is that
no, it's
not? I
not
mean, I can take
wrong.
this off.
No,
I just
no,
was curious.
it's not wrong. I've never done it before. And so am trying to pull the pieces together. I'm working with a destination management company, and I'm working with some friends in Rabat and people that I know around Morocco. And there are plenty of resources. Like, I can't decide whether I want to build it myself or if I want to use a company and sell that and go on that with people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
But it's an idea that you're kind of creating. I'm assuming
yes.
it's kind of like another option of, I would say it's another way of building on your love of travel,
Yeah.
and then being able to share that love and be able to share those experiences. Because that's the whole thing. Like, you want to be able to provide that insider cultural access, go luxury comfort, when your people were like, come and talk to you. Well, what better way to do it? They're like, why don't you do it with me? It's kind of like when I used to do my sandwich eat up events, be like, hey, why don't you eat with me? Now, instead of like, hey, ladies, why don't you just come travel with me and let's go to these cool places, and then
Right.
go rug shopping, and FaceTime Biggie and show him all the cool rugs that you're shopping for when you're
Well,
out and about.
yes. And there's also something that's really unique about the way that I travel and who I am. So, friends who have traveled with me, who have gone on trips to Mexico City and France, Greece, where I've sort of led the two or three of us, and even Morocco, there is something innately in me, in my design. There is an instinct for direction. And it is not necessarily direction in a car or a train, it is direction literally walking down the street. So I'll give you an example. And this is the magic that I want to share with other people if they're open to it. But I think that's why I'm also hesitant, because if I get too many people, I don't know if the magic will happen. All right. So walking down the street, pick any street. I can tell you, I don't know why or how, I can tell you that we should eat at this restaurant. I can tell you that we should go into this shop. And magical things happen when we go to these places. We meet the chef. We meet someone at the next table. They've worked for the museum. They give us tickets to the museum. We go to the thing. Like, there are these really amazing, some people would say that it's coincidental. I say it's providential. These things where I connect with people and places in a way that's truly like from my gut. It is driving my direction. And it's the magic of traveling with me. And I want to share that with more people. I don't quite know how to do that other than like 2 or 3 people at a time. So navigating a tour of 6 to 8 people seems a little overwhelming. Like, I kind of shut down. But if I think about traveling with maybe 4 women and me, the idea of us moving through a community or going into places where it's a little more go with the flow, I think it could be really magical and amazing. And I could have these experiences with other people. It's just so fun. I mean, you and I could do it. We could, yeah. It's so much fun. So it's the travel magic that I have in me that I want to share. So it sounds weird, but
No,
yeah.
I love that. Okay, so I wanted to my usual last 2 questions, my that I usually ask. One is what advice do you give to someone for wanting to start something?
Oh, just start it. Just start it. Just start it. I don't mean to censor myself, but I also don't want that out in the universe. So just start it. If you have an idea, if you have a thought, if you have a dream, if you have an inkling of something in you and you feel it and you want to try it and you want to write it, you want to make it, you want to do it, just do it. Do it. Because once you let that go and you say, no, I'm not going to do that, the universe gives it to someone else. And you'll see your idea made. It'll be out there. I've had multiple ideas that I've seen get made and done and invented. And I'm like, well, that could have been me. Could have been me. But just do it. You have to jump on it. I mean, don't let yourself be held back by the idea that money is the thing that's going to make things happen. That is bullshit. It is people, connections, community, people. It is people. This creator economy is coming into an apex of commodity, and it's going to just change everyone's lives. And so if you have an idea, do it now. Start it now, because you can fail fast. If you fail, then you can get on to the next idea, or go back to that job, or get a different job, or go try another thing. Just do it. I mean, this is the American thing, right? Like, I've not, by the way, I do want to say, I know we're like running out of time here, but in every single country I visited, every country, there is no one like us. There is no person, no group, no culture like Americans to say, hey, let's go try that. Hey, let's go do that. Hey, I see a way to make that better. Let's go do that. Let's try that. Let's build that. Let's make that. We are these incredible pioneering people. And I don't know if it's my generation. I mean, I'm Gen X, so we're kind of left to our own devices anyway. So we had to kind of figure it out. But I had a whole conversation with a amazing, smart French woman who had this incredible idea for an app to create community for solo female travelers. And it was this amazing app idea. And she's French, she's in France, and she told me she's not going to do it. And I said, why? She said she met with marketing experts who told her that it wouldn't work. And I almost flipped the table because I was so mad. I could not believe that this is how other countries do it, right? This is how other people do it. This is, oh, well, it's not going to work. We've examined all the ways it can fail, and we're not willing to do this. And I just think that's total bullshit. Like, what the fuck? Failure is not the worst thing that can happen to you. I have failed multiple times, and it's just, you just do the next thing. Go do another thing. First, make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then go do the next thing.
Love it. Where can people follow you and they can read about travel, maybe use you for their next travel destination? Give some of that so we can put it in the show notes, but then maybe as they're listening, they can maybe like scroll on their phones and give you a follow and find that out. I know you obviously maybe even sign up for a newsletter, because I know you like that idea better than social, but just kind of share that information.
Okay, so I really am trying to get away from social media, I think, for many reasons. I'm sending out 2 emails a week. On Tuesdays, I have an email. You can find that sign up at jennyintransit.com. It's my blog site. It will be the hub very soon of all the things I've written and done, and the things that the ways I'm exploring the world from a personal standpoint. So Jenny in Transit on Instagram as well. I do check my DMs there. You will rarely see me post anything on Instagram, just because I'm trying to get away from social media. You can also, on the footer of jennyintransit.com, you can click on my link to Fora, and that takes you into my agency profile so that you can either send me an inquiry or book with me. I do also have a Fora Friday email that goes out that really has all of my travel goodies that come across my desk during the week, kind of like new things that are opening, new things that I've discovered, ways to explore Antarctica, without freezing your tuchus off. So yeah, that goes out on Friday. So you can sign up for that on my Fora agency page. So yeah, that's
awesome. Jenny, I truly love our time and our connection that we've had through the years, and the fact that you and I stay in touch every time we are traveling somewhere. I always appreciate when I see something come across, because like you said, so you don't have much of a social, when it does come across, I love being able to interact and see where you're at and what you're doing. And you and I have we've gotten to FaceTime and things like that while you're on travel, and I absolutely love that. So I really appreciate your time getting to chat with you, especially since you're stateside, and it made it a little bit easier for you to share your story. And I just kind of hope it inspires people. I hope it inspires people to go do that solo trip, or maybe even be open to those new adventures, and maybe even doing that idea of slow travel, and maybe even considering it. Which I think is great. So I truly appreciate you being on and being my guest. That's our show for today. Definitely check out Jenny in Transit. Make sure to, if this inspires you or something like that, and you listen to it and you're like, man, I really think so and so would love this, have them sign up, have them listen, share the podcast with them. Definitely, obviously, if you want to support me, check out my brand, Deli Fresh Threads. Thank you. Until next time, keep eating sandwiches and follow your passion. Thanks, everyone.